The 2022 season of F1 has brought on the biggest changes in regulations since the hybrid era was introduced. The cars now weigh more, the tires have been updated from 13 to 18-inch wheels, and overall, the cars are smaller in width, which results in closer racing and more adrenaline, both for the drivers and the fans. However, some of the changes have brought up a problem that was not present before. One of these problems is the effect of porpoising. And although all the F1 world thought that it could be fixed in the next couple of races, it seems like we are in it for the long run. The effect of porpoising is when the car bounces up and down, mostly on the main straights, due to it gaining and suddenly losing a lot of downforce. There are multiple factors that can trigger the effects of porpoising, but driving on a linear sector of the track with a car that is very low usually is the biggest trigger of them all. As seen on the track, the driver's head is bouncing up and down, and they have explained that it messes with their vision too, which is already impaired due to the high-speed performance of their car. However, it seems like the acute impairment of vision is the least of the worries regarding the health problems of an F1 driver. Multiple drivers have already experienced concern about their health condition after a race finishes, and Carlos Sainz has been the most recent one that shared his thoughts on the porpoising problems. We need to consider how much of a toll a driver should be paying for his back and his health in a Formula One career, Sainz said. With these kind of cars' philosophy, we need to open a debate more than anything. I have done checks on my back and neck tightness, and this year it is tighter everywhere. I am already feeling it. I don't need expert advice to know 10 years like this will be tough. We know that F1 drivers are absolute beasts when it comes to training. As a matter of fact, you could say that the training they go through is probably the hardest one to endure, specifically because they work on muscles that not many other athletes work on, such as their neck muscles. This is because they experience a very unique experience compared to other athletes, going at enormous speeds in the corners and having to fight the G-force on the way doing so. There are multiple videos of Checo Perez, Max Verstappen, and Pierre Gasly working on the core of their neck muscles. So if you see these athletes complaining about something related to health issues, then it is surely a problem that has to be looked at. I'm strong, I'm very fit, I consider myself one of the fittest drivers, and I've never struggled in an F1 race at all. But it's more long-term and for the benefit of all of us that maybe we should put it out there to talk about and see what options we have, Sainz said, adding to the narrative that an F1 driver isn't a god or a superpowered human. However, according to Sainz, it seems like Formula One is fast reaching the point where the leading bodies of the sport need to have a conversation about the drivers and the role that they play in the team. At the end of the day, it's still a business, but Sainz believes that in these conversations, the governing bodies of F1 need to factor in the driver too. There is the interest of the teams, of overtaking, of the show you need to factor into the equation. But what if we, for the first time, also factor in the driver? It could be interesting. It will get to a point that if we decide to go in a certain direction, the FIA needs to get involved, Sainz finished. However, not all of the F1 drivers are bouncing on the field, so could you blame the porpoising problem on the team executives and engineers? After all, Adrian Newey seems to have found the perfect mixture of suspension, ride height, and floor design to keep the porpoising levels to a minimum, as both Red Bulls have never complained about their car bouncing. And another thing is that the porpoising itself does not impair lap time that much. There are other factors included too. This can be seen by comparing the performances of Ferrari and Mercedes. Both of these manufacturers suffer porpoising to a huge extent, but Ferrari has been able to win races with it and finish nicely. This may be one factor why FIA won't look at it extensively, other than the fact that the team itself needs to find a way around it. As for Sainz, he believes that the talk needs to happen between F1 drivers and about their long-term health safety, and is probably the most vocal driver when it comes to expressing this problem publicly. He said that he needs to have a talk with George Russell, a driver that has also suffered back and neck pain after Imola due to the vast porpoising of his car, and see what can be offered from their side. It's still a new idea for me, and I need to talk to other drivers like George that are struggling with the same phenomenon, to sit together to see what we can offer or propose. F1 fans do have divided opinions when it comes to this problem. A majority of them agree that this is a problem that needs to be fixed or talked about due to it becoming a serious threat to the long-term health of the drivers. After all, they are top-performing athletes, and they aren't going to complain about something that is not really representing a problem. However, other fans believe that the drivers need to talk more to their engineers and the developing members of their teams, as they are the ones holding the nuts and bolts, and they are the ones that are responsible for fixing this problem. However, as Binotto said earlier, the porpoising effect isn't something that can be worked out as quickly as everyone hoped back in Barcelona testing. Therefore, this may be the reason why F1 drivers want to bring this problem to FIA and point out that the regulations are too strict and too overwhelming for an F1 car. Furthermore, their argument would most likely fall in the water, due to Red Bull having zero to no concerns about their car porpoising. Their only problem now seems to be about reliability issues, something that they probably fixed because the high performance the team has recently. Other drivers like George Russell have been more vocal about bringing back some other techniques, such as the active suspension in order to fight porpoising. This, according to Russell, will enable the drivers to position the ride height differently, as they see fit in corners and on the main straights. A short reminder that this season does not allow active hydraulic suspension, but a simple one in F1 cars. So there is nothing much that we can do other than wait and see how this thing will turn out. Many things can happen, as the Catalunya GP is ahead of us, and F1 drivers may bring up this problem more often if they don't manage to find the right fix in the garage. So stay with our channel, give us a like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications if you like our content and help us grow. We really appreciate your support and hope that we can bring out more interesting and informative videos about the F1 world.